My name's Ray Conklin. Life has many mysteries. Why is there suffering? Why do we die? What's man's purpose on this earth? Is the Bible trustworthy? Can a man know that he has everlasting life? Where did Cain get his wife? Why don't you join me today as we look at some of these issues in this program called The Evidence. When you're dead, you're dead. Many years ago, there was a movie starring John Wayne. Of course, it was a cowboy movie. This young lady was lying on a rock. She had a gun in her hand. She was going to kill John Wayne as he went past because he had killed her kid brother. As he went past on his horse, she shot at him. He hit the dirt. She walked up to pick the corpse when suddenly he hit her in the back of the leg. She hit the dirt. He stood above her. And she looked at him and said in unbelief, "How could I have missed?" And then in typical John Wayne fashion, he got his big hand, grabbed his shoulder, smeared the blood, rubbed it across her jacket and said, "You did it." Tough as John Wayne. He's the guy that's still shooting Indians with 200 arrows in his back. Well, that's Hollywood. But in real life, how did John Wayne die? Well, when he was dying in hospital, he called for Billy Graham to his bedside to pray with him. You see, there's a Hollywood world and there's a real world. The Hollywood part of you says, well, I'm not afraid of dying. When your number's up, it's up. When you're dead, you're dead. But the real part of you says, oh, I don't want to die. That cry, I don't want to die, is your God-given will to live. Listen to your will to live, because if there's one chance in a million that the Bible's right when it says Jesus Christ has abolished death, you owe it to your good sense just to listen to the claims of the gospel. There is no hell. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. It's amazing how rational human beings can think that something doesn't exist simply because they don't believe in it. Try that on the freeway. You're standing on a freeway, there's an 18-wheeler truck heading for you at 70 miles an hour, and say to yourself, I don't believe in trucks. Our unbelief doesn't change reality. The Bible speaks many times of a place called hell, God's just desert on guilty sinners. Let me reason with you just for a moment about the existence of hell. Imagine there's a judge in Florida who sees the workings of the mafia, their murder, their rape, their drug dealing, but he turns a blind eye to the dealings of the mafia. Well, he's a corrupt judge. He should be brought to justice himself. And if the Bible is true when it says God sees all things, he sees the murders, the rapes, the torture of human beings. If he turns the other way, then God is corrupt by nature. But the Bible says he's omniscient. In one 10-year period in the United States alone, there were 63,000 unsolved murders. That means there are at least 63,000 murderers who got away scot-free. They raped a woman, cut her throat, carved her body up, stuck it down the drain, and they were never brought to justice. Well, if God doesn't bring that man to justice, then God is corrupt, as I said. But the Bible says God is extremely thorough in justice. He has set aside a day in which he'll judge the world in righteousness. This is what Jesus said about the justice of God. He said, whoever falls upon the stone shall be broken, but on whomsoever the stone shall fall, it shall grind him to powder. When you grind something to powder, you do a thorough job of it. There's nothing left. And God's justice will be so thorough, Jesus said it will judge right down to the thoughts and intents of a man's heart. He said, if you as much as lust, you commit adultery. If you hate someone, you're a murderer. He said, if you get angry without cause, you're in danger of judgment. So to say there is no hell is to forsake all reason. It's the greatest gamble you can ever take to say there is no hell. There's no proof that God exists. Isn't it just a matter of faith? Let me share a theory with you. It's an intellectually stimulating theory. It's my theory of where the Coca-Cola can may have come from. Billions of years ago, there was this massive explosion in space. Nobody knows what caused this explosion. It just happened. Going through space was this large chunk of rock. On top of the rock was this sweet, bubbly substance. Now, over billions of years, aluminum crept up the side and trapped some of it in a can, formed itself into a lid, and then a tab. And then over millions of years, red paint fell from the sky, white paint, a little bit of green paint, and formed itself into the words, Coca-Cola, 12 fluid ounces, do not litter. You're saying, man, what are you doing? You're insulting my intellect. And so I am. You know, if the Coca-Cola can is designed, it must have a designer. To believe that this happened by sheer chance is to move into an intellectual free zone. It's to have an echo when you think. It's to have brain liposuction. Behold, the atheist's nightmare. Now, if you study a well-made banana, of which this is, you'll find on the far side there are 3 ridges. On the close side, there are 2 ridges. If you get your hand ready to grip a banana, you'll find on the far side there are 3 grooves. On the close side, 2 grooves. The banana and the hand are perfectly made, one for the other. You'll find that God, the maker of the banana, has made it with a non-slip surface. It has outward indicators of inward contents. Green, too early. Yellow, just right. Black, too late. If you go to the top of the banana, you'll find, as the Coca-Cola can makers placed a tab at the top for ease of entry, so there is a tab at the top of the banana. When you pull the tab, the contents don't squirt in your face. You'll notice that the wrapper, which, by the way, is biodegradable, has perforations like your pad paper. There are 4 perforations. Notice how gracefully it sits over the human hand. Notice the point at the top for ease of entry. Notice it's just the right shape for the human mouth. Also notice that it's chewy, palatable, good for you, and God has even curved it toward the face to make the whole process so much easier. If you watch a chimpanzee eat this, he will not use the tab, he will use the other end, completely disproving Darwin's fairy tale of evolution. Notice the apple. There are 10,000 different varieties of apple, all the same shape. Close side, large groove for the human thumb. Far side, smaller groove made for the forefinger. Close side has a stalk which is flexible so it won't go out your thumbnail. Far side has a pad so when the apple turns, it doesn't wear out your finger. Now with the apple, you may eat the wrapper. Inside is this chewy, palatable substance which cleans the teeth. Apparently one of these a day keeps the doctor away. And when you get to the core of the substance, so you won't get depressed, what has God done? He's placed these little seeds, and when you put them in the dirt, you get more apples. You have infinitely more chance of convincing me no one designed the Coca-Cola can as you have of convincing me there's no God. The whole of creation testifies to the genius of God's creative hand. Take, for instance, this building behind me, if we can call it that. How do we know there was a builder? Well, the building is proof there was a builder. You couldn't want better proof there was a builder than to have the building as evidence. You don't need faith to believe in a builder. All you need is eyes that can see and a brain that works. It goes like this. Building, duh, builder. Now the same deep intellectual scientifically principle can be used with paintings and painters. When I look at a painting, how can I know there was a painter? Well, the painting is proof there was a painter. You couldn't want better proof there was a painter than to have the painting as evidence. You don't need faith to believe in a painter. All you need is eyes that can see and a brain that works.